pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Call the meeting to order. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Minutes, 1/2/19.
A lot of stuff going on here. I would make a motion to approve for a question of all of, we've had to go through so many appointments. Are we lacking any of the latter ones? The owner-operator, owner city town property, the real estate and that, because there was some discussion on that.
No.
Are these set then?
Mhm.
That everyone was happy?
And we have sent letters out to everybody, on all the boards that you appointed. And if there's any objections to that, or somebody doesn't want to serve, they'll let me know.
So,
Then in a week or two, we'll get the response, they're not interested, we'll get...
that was the only thing, there's lots and lots of
We'll
appointments.
go to the
Yeah.
third board looking for guys over there that'll...
There you go.
Yes.
They're good guys.
Okay, so that, I motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. General public concerns. Anybody?
Fine day.
Ooh, revenue day,
Okay, Fair Board.
state.
Yep. Paul?
Yeah, and Kevin's under the weather today, so he won't be here.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank
There's
you.
a lot of that going
There's
around.
a lot of that going around, and rather he'd stay home to...
Well, we'd like to request funding again this year, the same as last year, $25,000. This year, we have 16 members on our board, and I've given you an updated list of our board members and their contact information. And a lot of us went to our state fair convention December 7th through the 9th in Des Moines. And at that time, we were able to finalize the final events for the fair. So I have a draft of our fair schedule in there for you too, with our events on it. Some of the times and some of the 4-H things could change yet because we haven't confirmed that with them, but it looks like it's pretty well set for the year. We have one new fair board member, Cody Rickliffs. He's gonna take the place of Jeff Goodell, and his contact information's on there. As you know, in 2018, we constructed a new show arena, and it turned out very, very good, probably better than most of us originally anticipated. All new aluminum bleachers in it, and the project is completely paid for. In 19, we're gonna continue our systematic upgrades of our electrical system. We've got 2 more transformers to add on the grounds, and possibly a 3rd one up in the old pool property for additional camping. We're out of camping space, which is a great problem to have. Part of it is the numbers are up, and part of it is the campers are getting so large.
Get bigger, okay.
So we've done some upgrading to our electrical system in the campground now to take over. Some of those campers now have like the same service that a house has as far as electrical panels.
When they're out roughing it, they gotta...
Yeah.
But if you don't have 4 TVs in that thing, you know.
2 air conditioners.
Yeah. So we're talking about the possibility of going out to the pool property and putting a transformer in that corner, and then kind of going around that fence, not eliminating our parking, but
I'll put it along the fence, so you
Yep.
can tie in, yeah.
so we can tie in and give us, maybe the 4-H'ers would have it first, because it'd be closer to the barns, and maybe expand our campground that way without giving up any parking spaces. So, the electrical upgrades, that's been something that we've had like a 5-year projection on that, and we're coming up, this should be the last year that we have to put in transformers and underground wire, but this will complete all the high voltage now underground, which will be a big safety, that was a big safety concern that we had for the fairgrounds. So beyond that, You've got a copy of our mission statement, the economic impact of the county fairs for the state. We pick up this up at State Fair Convention. And all the fairs in Iowa participate that, and then they consolidate that information and give it back out to us. So you can see that the fairs in Iowa definitely do impact the state. And we've tried to grow our fair, and we feel like our fair's on the right trend. We've got a great board. Everybody participates. We're all volunteers, as you know, and we think we're on the right track. So, do you have any questions for us? I have Jeff Halverson and Paul Davis with me today, and Kevin was under the weather, but he planned on being here also.
You guys track attendance?
Yes,
How are you doing on that?
we're up. We're up, and we track it for every venue, and we also do it with 4-H and livestock entries, and we're up in everything. And there's a lot of fairs in Iowa that are going down with their livestock. Ours is actually going up. Our
Excellent.
numbers are going up. So we've talked about the possibility of having some open shows, cattle and hog, with our new facility, and we've got a lot of excitement of that. And that brings a lot of people in throughout the state that want to show their livestock, and it's the high-quality livestock that we see at the state fair. So we're going to bring those people in. That should generate money for the county and the community as well, because
Yes.
they all have to do something when they get here.
Right.
Yeah, and they all come with big
Well-
fancy cattle trailers,
You could...
sleeping quarters in front that have to be plugged in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they bring their groomers with them, and their groomers have to come too and stay, and,
That's a good thing, though. I mean, very good.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the board's doing a great job, 'cause you just see improvement after improvement down there. It's really nice to see that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's money well invested.
Well, I would like to personally thank you guys, for allowing the food pantry to use the facility down there. I mean, I know started out, it was going to be a partial, just use it until we could get our facility of our own, and as government rolls, we're still waiting for that to move forward, and you guys have been very gracious to let us continue, even with some bumps in the road. So as far as the ministerial board, and allowing the people of Humboldt to use that facility for the mobile food pantry, we appreciate it very much, because it's really a nice place to pack in. They dump the pallets on the ground, and we put it out on tables, and within a couple hours, all that food is distributed and gone. So we appreciate it very much, and hopefully we'll have that out of your hair soon, so that we can have our own facility. So I would just want to tell you thank you again publicly.
Well, thank you. I'll pass that on to the board, and the board did vote unanimously to allow that to happen at no charge, because we feel that is another way to give back to the community, and that's part of our mission statement, is giving back to the community. That's what we're all about. So we'll continue on with that as long as we
Well,
need to, I guess.
I'm hoping that we have the opportunity to put it into a building that will benefit the community too, so we'll see where we end up with that, but thank you very much.
Like anything else?
No, thank you for coming, and...
Thank you, guys. Nice for what you do, for being on the board, and
Yep.
Peggy will put this in her pile of
Yep,
soon to be...
important papers for
There you
that.
go. There you go. We don't want to be on top, but we want to be close to the top.
there you go.
And we will see you all guys at the fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Yep.
I forgot, I'm not used to turning them on.
We get scolded big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, another year.
Dave's just,
There you go.
Hey, you're right on time, Ben.
You're up.
I think he was out in the, I think he was out in the hall, just messing with you.
Morning.
Good morning.
This morning I've got a couple of final pay vouchers. First, I believe, is paving project, is it not?
Yes. Manats?
Manats, yes. The first one is voucher number 7 for this summer's paving project on C-49. This is a final voucher for Manats Inc. for $78,319.53.
This is basically the retainage that we're paying, right?
This is the retainage, yeah, this finals the project out.
And I have to ask again, that bond is put in place for the driving?
The bond that we have is in place with, Reddings, and from what I understand, that's 5 years. They've got an independent engineer that'll review the road, reviewed it this year, and he'll review it the next 2 years to ensure that there's no damage from their drivers.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to make the final payment voucher number 7 to Manats for $78,319.53.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same. Carried.
The second one is the final voucher number 2 for Rognus Brothers, Inc. for project LC 102406. This is the box culvert replacement that we did over on the Claire Blacktop. This is the last of the 3 projects that Rognus completed for us this year.
The other,
The others are finalized out.
they're completely done?
Yep,
I
this
mean,
is
I know
the
we-
last of the 3. And then all we've got left is the paving over it sometime this next summer with
Right.
blacktop services.
Okay.
So the total payment on this is $2,105.01.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve the 2,105.01.
I will second the motion to Rognus.
Motion to approve, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That one's a little more easier to swallow at 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3% on that project was quite a bit less than the 3%
Yeah.
on our paving.
2 million.
project.
Yeah, well, culvert versus pavement is quite a difference.
Right. Other than that, I guess I'm starting to work on budget things. I guess I'd ask you guys to take a look at your calendars and see when we can sit down and meet for a budget work session to look at projects for the 5-year plan.
Well, I usually try to keep my Mondays open
Okay.
for supervisor business, so
So maybe if...
after meetings sometime would be
if
good.
next Monday looks light as far as agenda, we can...
Once you contemplate that, like Rick said, yeah, that's a good time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go out there, the food pantry truck's coming after the meeting, they're switched the day on that, so I'll be...
Today or next week?
Next week, 14th.
Geez, you have all kinds of help then, wouldn't you, if we all showed up?
Hey!
Hey!
Then we wouldn't have to argue with the guy that likes to park out by the, clear out the west, it's like, I think he just likes to see people walking, but... Yeah, that would work for me, if we wanna see what Peggy comes up with for our agenda, we can go there.
Appreciate your thought process on short meeting, not a...
Yeah, I don't...
We don't drag
You
budget-
guys have already been...
budget discussion into
I don't wanna do it after...
the middle of the day, yes.
Mhm.
We get time to get through it.
And then possibly, the 21st, we can set up a time for a discussion on the 165th Street where we closed the bridge. And then I'll send a letter out to all property, all property owners, to allow them to come in, I guess.
Come in here to the boardroom and
To the
just,
boardroom and sit and listen while we discuss it.
that'd be great.
'Cause like I said, I haven't gotten any phone calls on the road being closed, but the only ones that use it are probably in the spring and fall. for,
Field work.
field work, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But if nobody shows up, then we, let's just pull the bridge and close most of the road.
I think it's a great idea. Let's get it rolling.
Okay. You wanna just say like 8:45 on the 21st?
Okay.
Okay.
Wording is what? Discussion or action?
Possible actions on road
Discussion.
closure.
Yeah, discussion and possible action on 165th Street.
Yeah, leave it that way.
Okay.
And you're requesting 8:45-ish?
8:45?
No, that's
That's
fine.
good.
That works.
Because that way, when these people come in, they don't have to wait. If we're later, they might have to sit there for an hour. We don't wanna have them do that, so let's make it early.
Okay.
That way they can get
Is
in
there
and get out.
something already scheduled at that time, I'll let you know. And
Yes.
can-
Okay.
I don't think there is, but we'll check.
Awesome.
All right, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Running a little early. Melanie here, you wanna go ahead with her? Melanie? We're a little early, but I don't think anybody else is coming in.
Morning.
Morning. We still have drainage, so that'll
Yep.
help
Yeah.
slow you down.
So I was just gonna update you, the 20th was the due date for the EMPG grant, which is Emergency Management Performance Grant, is what it stands for. I use the acronym, sorry. The 20th it was due, I did have it submitted by the 18th, and it has gone through the planner down at state. I'm waiting for the next level, and when I hear back from Tricia, then it'll be, okay, state level, and then we'll just wait for the federal, the FEMA to allocate the money. Last year, was kind of a learning curve for all of us. FEMA did not allocate to all the states the full amount of money for these performance grants. And so the state goes by a formula. So it doesn't matter if I'm okay for this amount of money, they've only got X amount of money that they can hand out to all 99 counties. So they used a different formula, so that's why it came under that amount last year. I don't know this year, we have a new director, Director Flynn, was, sworn in, or appointed at the beginning of this year. She has kind of a different take, she comes from operations, so she's very much into, training and paperwork, operations, logistics, that kind of thing. So, talk on Friday down at, XCOM was that we're very hopeful that the training money is going to be increased. Mitch Nordmeyer was the EMA out of Butler County. He's now the EMA, or the operations training officer down at state, and he was very hopeful that state training money is going to increase. But that's not this year's. We're always a few years behind on the state training. We got it locked in. For a bulk of the money out of FEMA, it's already, 56 or 57 trainings are already in place, and these are FEMA trainings, which means it's peaks out of Texas, and we have, instructors from all over the United States that come and facilitate these. Because it's FEMA money, state has the control over that. I get to bring these trainings to Humboldt County, and it doesn't cost Humboldt County anything. This is all state training money. So, being that said, what they're doing is, this is my ESF book, and it stands for Emergency Support Functions. There are 15 of them, and these are our county plans. So, any given thing that comes up, we have a disaster. The way I've got these plans written is how we're going to get reimbursed from FEMA money. So it's broke down: transportation, communications, public works, fire, emergency management, mass care, logistics, public health, search and rescue, hazardous materials, ag, energy, public safety, long-term recovery, and public information. The gear this year that Director Flynn has given us all is, instead of the districts deciding on 4 or 20% of these to update every year. She named what ones we're going to update this year. It's all going, after the disasters last year, the tornadoes, the presidentials that we had, she really wants us to work on our EOCs, our Emergency Operations Centers. She wants us to staff them, train them, and build them up. So from that direction, that's kind of where I wrote my grant. That's where I wrote my scope of practice. And so I noticed on the list that I got this year, or the Friday, that the trainings coming up are a lot of PIO, there's EOC training, there's still active shooter training coming up. There's a lot of legislation as far as school safety, courthouse safety, those kind of things, so there's a lot of trainings that way. They've also incorporated training, incident command training, or not incident command, ICS for elected officials. So they're going to be coming across, and I can share with you guys a lot more trainings that they're going to hold to empower you guys, to let you know how you can help your constituents a little bit better, that kind of thing. So given that, I have this year, instead of 4 to write, 10 is hazardous materials, and that one I have to update every single year. We get the Tier 2 reports in, and they're always a year behind, which makes it difficult to keep current. What myself and about a few other in our district we do, we don't put the maps in our ESF 10 anymore. I'm telling you, it's like this thick when you get done writing it. By the time you do the map and all the chemicals that are everywhere and the logistics of things change too quick. And what I put in this year, we're worried it might not even have it on site anymore. So that's not going to do us any good. So what I do is I just say reference the Tier 2 report through DNR. So Tracy, our planner, Dan Schmidt, and they're all okay with that. They're able to access that material. They've got it, less paperwork, less files. So when I do these, I have to upload them to the state's program. It's called MB3 and SharePoint, and it's not a very user-friendly system. Instead of building the program from the bottom up, they built it from the top down, and there's still a lot of glitches. So it sounds like Director Flynn is going to restructure that a little bit, and we might even be going away from the MD3 system to this new damage assessment system that they've had a lot of success with. So I have 5 of them this year, and like I said, they're all basic plan is the umbrella, or the comprehensive plan. That one I'm basically having to rewrite. What I found when I dug into it was there were still references for Cerro Gordo, there were still references in there for Worth County, Franklin County. Those, we can't have those in our plans. And if FEMA would come in and take a look at that, we'd get dinged. And we wouldn't have the chance of getting all of the funds that we would. The other reason that I really stick by these ESFs is when I declare us for, say we have a disaster like we did last year, we have storms, whatever, the reason that I put us in as a declaration is so that I can open up individual assistance through Upper Des Moines. Those are the folks that help our individuals, and even if we can help just one person in the county, I'm going to open it up because it's well worth helping that one person. It doesn't cost us anything to open this up. So those are just some kind of the backgrounds of why I do what I do. I'm a resource person. I don't do anybody else's job, but I help get those resources here. During a disaster, because of these ESFs, if I enact one of them, I activate one of them, that means then I can get state assets here, and it's not going to cost our county any money. So rather than paying a lot of money, that being said, we can get it free. Once I call my duty officer and say, you know, our local resources are tapped, our fire departments need this, our ambulances need this, our public health needs this, whatever case it may be, I'm going to have my name on the list first. And that's crucial because in 2016 when we had the straight line winds in Renwick, I was really up against Jim Lester, and him and I were both kind of, you know, because we were parallel, we were caught in between the 2 parallel storms. Eagle Grove was decimated just as much as Renwick was. And, it worked out because, one of my, assets or one of my resources I can get are prisoners to come in. As long as all the debris is brought up to the curbside, they can come, they'll bring them in by van, and they will help remove all the debris. So, that's kind of the method of my madness on that one. The other thing is, last Saturday, or a week ago, I spent, about 6 hours, me and my team, and we got all of the, equipment out of the fire shed, and it's moved up to Rutland. I've had a few conversations with Ben, and doing my budget, I've got my budget coming in at 5.23% under what I was last year. I've really tried to tighten down. We don't need the extra in there for the hazard mitigation this year. That's already completed. We're kind of sitting good for the next 2.5 years on that book. But what I would like to do, rather than purchasing that property, I would ask your permission to possibly lease it, like on a year-by-year basis. And it would be at the same amount as what I was renting the old fire shed. I believe Ben has worked on an
Yeah, I started
agreement.
working on an agreement, I figured I'd...
In anticipation of getting permission. And then what I did was on my budget, because my Iowa Department of Management paperwork is all filled out. And what I had done on my original budget proposal was I had taken all the money out of the building rental line item, and I moved it up to fixed plant. So I would just take it back out of fixed plant, move it down to the rental, and I'm not adding any dollars to the budget at all. So I'll still be able to come in at a 5.23% decrease.
Okay, sounds good.
Good.
So,
I think the leasing will be fine.
Yeah, I agree, I think the lease will be fine. The way I've got it worded is basically, if Melody chooses to lease it, she would get both of the buildings. It would still allow us to put sand in the bunker, which we've got extra down there, I guess, right now. The back area could be utilized by either of us to put trailers and whatnot. And then, I guess, like Conservation's got a couple of things in one of the sheds right now, and if
they
wanted to
came and they got my
continue-
keys and they took everything out.
Oh, they
which-
did get everything?
Yeah,
out?
which
Okay.
to me, I'm fine with them having stuff up there because they've got the dam. They're gonna need equipment up there, that's fine. And I would love to work with them on that. We have to work together.
They run electric into the dam, so they don't need the generator.
Yeah, you guys
We've
gotta
got
be-
that on the
Yeah.
agenda for a
Yeah,
little
yeah. But I was just saying, if there's anything else that they need equipment-wise, that's not a problem.
Okay, good. All righty, well, thank you.
Did you have a question?
I did, you mentioned about the tier two,
Mhm.
and it's all on the computer. Now, what about the fire departments? Are they able to access that? So if one of the industries catch on fire, how quickly can they get to that information so they know what they're getting into?
They have that information as well, and now, instead of, remember the IRF books, now those are on phones.
Oh, okay.
So they can access all of that right there. I lean on, the fire department here in Humboldt, I lean on the hazmat team out of Fort Dodge. I don't talk hazardous materials at all,
Oh, okay.
and so, I help the paperwork basically is what I do. They're the ones that will actually do the logistics, they're the ones that are gonna go out and fight that, and, yes, they do have all their information. I also have resource books, I keep a resource book with myself, I have one in dispatch, I have one in my vehicle, I've given one to the fire department, and the sheriff has one. All the, like, contact information is there, and when I get new contact information for, like, pipelines, whatever it may be, I go over and I update, especially the dispatch one, not only in the book, but I go to the dispatcher and I have them look it up in their, system to make sure that they've got that current. One other thing too, I want to bring up, I do have 50, weather radios. That's what I purchased last year with my ICAP grant, safety grant money. I would like to this spring work with the Fair Board and possibly Hy-Vee and bring up a meteorologist from, Channel 5, ABC, and, we have Chad Hahn, he's our new National Weather Service, person who replaced Kelsey Engel. And I would like to bring them up to not only program them, but to present them for, like, all the offices in the courthouse, and for the schools, churches, and City Hall. That's who I kinda have the first batch of them purchased for. And I haven't heard if ICAP's gonna do it again, I won't hear till March. Don't they usually announce it kind of at the spring ISAC?
Yep.
Whether we'll do it again, but it sounded like they were, so I'll have another $1,000 to put towards some safety.
So you have these weather radios now?
I have
And
them
they're
now.
not, and they're not dispersed to anybody yet?
No, because we wanted to get them programmed, because I can't just hand you a box and they're not programmed. They're
Okay.
not gonna do anybody any good. I wanna do it before spring, before we start to get into the storm.
Well, that'd be a good idea.
And it's kind of a Band-Aid. We had last summer, tornadoes, and I happened to be here in the courthouse, and it was frustrating because, number one, nobody could get cell service. We couldn't hear, we didn't know, you know, if, number one was the, were we still supposed to be sheltering? When could we come out? I tried to sit on the steps to hear. Peggy knows how frustrating it was. It was just, so this was kind of the only way that I could think of to try to keep people safe. So the idea behind it is that each of the offices here in the courthouse will get one. Like I said, the 5 main churches here in Humboldt, I want all the city halls to have them, and then the cities can decide, you know, are they gonna stay in City Hall, are they gonna go home with a maintenance person, you know, how are they gonna handle that? The other thing I need to tackle this year is the outdoor siren system. Back before I was in this position, there was emergency management funding, and that's how the outdoor sirens were purchased. And then it was said, okay, we're gonna purchase them, but it's up to the towns to maintain them. I think last year alone, it was over $2,200 for Bode to buy a new motor. I kinda have an idea of how I wanna help them, but until I can get approval from the commission on how to do that, this is my Band-Aid. This is one way that I wanna help the community.
Mhm.
So, and talking to Chad Hahn, it goes really quick when they, program them and hand them out. So I was gonna, Heidi has been just phenomenal to work with us when we've needed water, we've needed anything for a disaster. And, I would like to give them an opportunity to come out as well with radios, and then that way maybe, individuals could purchase them. And then have them programmed, they could talk to the National Weather Service, we can open up that line of communication.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got anything for Melanie? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're a little early for drainage, so we dropped down to the bottom. Accept hire for Jennifer Catherines as public safety dispatch for 30 hours per week at the rate of $15.17 an hour, retroactive to the 1/2/19.
I'm assuming that was one to replace one that he'd lost?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And the official hire was done at the Public Safety Commission meeting this morning, but we have to have it on the board
Right.
agenda so that we can pay her.
Right,
Mhm.
I'd make that motion to accept that, retro 1/2/19 at 15.17 an hour, 30 hours a week.
I'd second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Peggy, if you get, if Dean happens to call you on that, could you check and see how he's, wasn't he one other one down too? Was it a full-time that he,
This gal's gonna take care of 2 part-timers.
all right, that's
And we're,
the one.
and, we have another one possibly leaving in April, and she'll pick up his hours.
Yeah.
So she'll be
Just so
closer
we're
to 40 by then.
Closer to
Yeah.
making sure we're covered.
Yep.
Not that we can do anything about it, but it's...
Trying to eliminate-
Worry, I can help him worry.
Well,
We're trying to eliminate the swinging door policy down there,
Yeah.
but we train them, and then they leave, and then we train them, and then they leave, so
You
hopefully,
keep part-time people, and it's just hard to...
it's hard to keep
Yeah,
part-time.
so it should be going away from that. Dean
Yeah.
feels pretty confident
He
about
does,
that right now.
and I think it's a good decision.
With continuity.
Good.
Okay, next one's discussing action on the Region 5 hazmat truck. I had that put on there. We had a meeting last week, we're having another one next week. We've gotta make a decision on how to spend, or whether we're gonna buy a truck or not. Last week we discussed it. Last year, the Region 5, they priced out a truck from Towing, which usually the fire trucks come from, and it was six hundred and some thousand, 675 or something kind. In a year's time, that thing jumped over 100,000. We had Pierce, which we're looking at now. They come in and give us a presentation on a truck built to our specs, and we're trying to figure out how to finance it. So we're bringing it back to the counties. Get to the right one.
So the Region 5, Dave, has 5 or 9 counties, right?
They have 9 counties.
That are involved in that area that this truck will cover.
Right now, we pay, I think it's $1 per capita. We're proposing to cover the lease or the payments on this truck to go to $1.50 per capita. That would put us, Humboldt County had 14 incidents last year, or the last 5 years, they've had 14 incidents, that'd be oil spills, ammonia, or what have you. And, at $1, we're paying $9,815. At $1.50, we would be paying $14,722.50. That would cover the budget and going into it. The problem is,
That covers the budget and the cost of the truck.
cost of the truck. The
Okay.
problem is, Carroll County was next to the largest county. They're paying $20,000, they would be paying $31,000, and they are bucking this, thinking about pulling out, because they don't think it's right that they pay, and they've only had 5 incidents in the last 5 years. However, talking with the fire chief, I found out that 2 of the incidents that was the worst in Templeton and in Breda in Carroll County, one they evacuated the town on an ammonia leak, and the other one was a propane leak. And they was thinking about evacuating the whole town, and so they can't pull out for a year. So the first year of payments is be a 10-year deal. They can't pull out for the first year. So they're in it for the first payment. But the second year, they can pull out. So in 2020, they could pull out of it.
But they would have to go somewhere else,
They
right?
have to go somewhere else, because the government states that
Says
you will have
it.
You will be in a region.
you will be in a disaster region. The truck they have now is 20 years old. It broke down on the last 2 calls, it broke down on the way. So therefore, they're trying to get one adapted to their system. If Carroll pulls out, the rest of the counties are gonna have to pick up the slack. And they have had other incidents. We're reminded of that. They said that they only had 5 incidents in 5 years. However, they do not call when they have an oil spill, gas spill, or something like that. They don't call. Their fire departments take care of it. We're out here, our fire department calls them on a disaster, on a hazard leak or something. So, that's why we have so many. Hamilton County had 22, Webster County had 86 calls.
Oh, so we're not anywhere near the high.
No, no. Wright County
They're just not
has 17.
utilizing it.
Well, yeah, because this is the 9 counties in Region 5, and so this humongously expensive hazmat truck is for the 9 counties. And it's just like Rick said, if they utilize it, you call, and if you're in one of those counties, utilize the truck.
We're looking, it went up 100,000, over 100,000 last year. Between the two trucks, we went back to Twain. Theirs is comparable to the Pierce. It's just about the same price. It's just a little bit under. The reason why we went to Pierce is Pierce builds the frame, gets the engine in, they take care of all warranty. Where on the Twain, you gotta call the engine company, the transmission company, or
You gotta deal with a lot more people.
Pierce is the whole.
Did you, Dave, did you say the truck that's there now is 22 years old?
20 years old.
20 years old. So it's a long-term investment.
Right. And they designed this one exactly what they need. They didn't get any frills, nothing extra on it. It's just what the basic, cover basic needs for hazards. But the question is, we're gonna have another meeting next week to whether to go this $1.50 per capita to cover that truck. We also talked about going to the places like LaGuardia and the manufacturing places that have ammonia, have, propane and stuff. Talk to them and see about getting, a commitment from them for $1,000 or $5,000 a year for 10 years.
Are they billed anything when the hazmat shows up to the businesses?
Yes, the business is billed.
Oh, okay, so they are paying for the service?
They have to pay for the service, yes.
Okay.
Who gets billed if, anhydrous tank falls in the ditch and they need to call this truck?
Who owns it?
Co-op, I imagine.
Co-op?
Well, they're going to new co-op, pro co-op, they've talked about going to all the big places, Pioneer up there, and talking with them and try to get a commitment. If we can get that, we could drop it back to $1.25, per capita, which would drop Humboldt's back down to 12,200.
And this per capita increase would be for how long?
10 years.
10 years, the life of the lease, isn't it?
Life of the lease on it.
Is it a lease, or is it,
Well, we're gonna lease with the option to buy. Wait, I understand.
and is that less money per year? But then there's gonna be a big buyout after 10 years then.
We figure on putting $125,000 down. We've got, we're gonna keep the old truck and sell it on our own. They won't give us anything for it. I think they was gonna give us, 20,000 or something for it.
They're gonna give us anything for a truck that we broke down twice, getting to a call?
Well, they'll give us 25,000 for it, but they say it's worth 50,000. But they won't give us anything for it, so we're gonna sell it outright and put 125,000 down, which we've got a little bit in savings, and we've got 75,000 in the truck fund.
So where does this thing locate? Is it out of Fort Dodge?
Fort Dodge.
And then if we have a issue up here, we call down there and they,
Fire
it's
department here,
dispatched.
called hazmat comes up.
And,
Sounds like it gets utilized quite a bit.
and if we didn't have that truck, then we would have to call like somewhere like Des Moines or Omaha or
Des
some
Moines,
bigger.
Omaha,
More expensive.
Yeah, and then we have to
Sioux
sit
City.
wait.
Mileage.
Sioux City or someplace and have to wait for them.
Mhm.
We have rail cars going through, which most counties do. You know, they have a car go off the track and spill
Ethanol or,
ethanol or something, that's hazmat's gotta come in and clean it up, so. The railroad gets billed, now they do have their own, the railroad does have their own hazmat crew. But ours would still be involved in it.
well,
So-
when you and I visited the other day about it, I'm your alternate on the board, I guess, according to the sheet. And I just said, you know, if we set on it another year and it goes up another 100,000, you're looking at almost $1 million pretty soon. So every year we wait, nobody wants to spend the money.
Yeah.
But if we don't have a truck that can make it to the call, we're kind of pardon me, damned if we do and damned if we don't. We gotta do something pretty soon.
We've talked about, in the past year, we've talked about getting a trailer and a truck to pull it, semi-truck and trailer. We've talked about retrofitting the one we have, which is just about impossible. They brought up about putting a new chassis underneath the box we have, but that wouldn't work. We've tried to weigh out all the options, but when they come back with this other bid, and then we went back to Twain to find out what theirs was, and it jumped over $100,000 in the past year. So, we said we gotta do it now, or next year it'll be up to $900,000.
Right.
You never know, so I need to know which way to vote. Do we wanna go vote with $1.50 per capita, or do we wanna say to heck with it, we'll stay at $1.25? I think we're paying $1.50 right now, aren't we, in the last quarter? We just
That I'm
got
not
that
sure. I'd
bill
have to
that had to
look,
be
yeah.
paid, but I think it was $1.50 because we lost our secretary down there, with the fire department, sharing a secretary with the fire department. We had to buy out the college because we had a lease with the college down there. So it raised it for 2 months, and then it's going back down this next month, so.
So is anything done as per, you know, and I'm not trying to get a war started with Webster County, but if we only used it 8 or 9 times versus their 85, and I don't know if those were the numbers, but it was similar to that.
86 to our 14.
Okay, so our piece of the pie isn't near as big as what they're gonna pay, right?
No, we pay per capita. Theirs would be,
Yeah, 'cause they got a lot higher population.
theirs is 57,000, is what their share of would be at $1.50.
Is it all figured on a per capita?
Per
Or has
capita,
that?
yes.
I mean, you gotta come up with something,
Yeah.
gotta use some sort of formula to
Right.
come up
Right,
with
so
this.
we're going, we've been paying per capita,
Mhm.
is what we've been assessed for.
Have we done any calculations on what if Carroll jumped next year?
They're working on that, and that's why we brought it to the board now.
Right.
Let know if they jump, do we pick up another county somewhere, or do we pick up their access?
Well, that'd be up to the board, that'd be up to the board that you serve on and not us, and I'd like to think, A, they wouldn't, because that's kind of a miserable thing to do, when you wanna pay for something.
Yeah.
However, if we lock in, and we assess everybody $1.50, and we lock into it, and Carroll does jump, the other 8 counties is gonna have to pick up the access,
Yeah,
so it's gonna go up again.
about 10%, 12%.
But there is a possibility, if worst case scenario, they think they should leave, that of maybe getting into another county, that is a possibility.
That's a possibility.
Dave, you mentioned earlier that they had looked at a trailer.
Mhm.
What was the cost of a trailer?
I don't remember just what it was, but they'd have to be outfitted and everything, and time you buy a tractor to pull it and everything, why it'd come out about the same as buying a whole truck and having it designed, because you're gonna have to have everything.
The only advantage is having a trailer is if the truck's not working, you just get a different truck.
True.
You know, that's my thought on a trailer, but I know it's more convenient to have it all one.
The complete specs is in this book, if anybody wants to read the specs, but this is the truck design, what they're looking at.
How much is the Pierce one, Dave?
$775. Twain was like $760 or
Really
something,
expensive truck.
$765. It was a little less
Everybody wants
for
a
the
wire.
Twain. But, I think, most of the fire departments go with the Twain or the Pierce, and like I said, we decided to go with the Pierce because there, if we have any warranty work, it's all taken care of through one company and not having to chase the transmission company, the engine company, the frame company, and they build it from everything and order the engine and
It
transmission.
looks very similar to the one that fire truck that Humboldt
Yeah.
purchased.
I suggested buying one off the line and getting a chassis and retrofitting it, you know? It'd be just about the same as that, but they would have to redo it. So,
Pierce is probably the better quality of those two trucks.
because they build it from the ground up.
And their workmanship and their, Pierce is one of the best quality trucks you can buy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but means you are kinda like Mr. Fire Truck. I look in the agenda, I'm thinking Scott can't be here for much other reason than discussion of a fire type truck. So, yeah, we'd love to hear your input on what you've heard and what you know, which is a lot.
The other truck is definitely outdated. It does need to be replaced, and most of the things have changed so much in 20 years. The equipment, that truck was the Cadillac of trucks when it was new, and so many things have changed now that the truck is outdated, and they are having a lot of problems with it. And, like I say, I know they've been working, I've worked with them for the last several years on lots of different things. It's something we definitely need to have. And, whether, like I say, whether you buy it now or wait another year. I know last year, Twain's told us last year, they looked at it, it'd be $100,000 higher this year, and it is.
Yep.
And Carroll County, I know what's going on there, and, I'm not gonna say anything, because I don't want it.
That's understandable.
I'll tell you guys what's going on there sometime. But yes, they definitely do need a new truck. And it's one of them deals, you spend $700,000 for a truck that sits there, but when you need it, you need it.
It's an insurance policy.
It is exactly.
Yep. And it does get used. I mean, this truck that they've had for 20 years, it does get used.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is a 9-county area.
Yes, it
So,
does. Yep.
it's a little different, but thank God it is a region, and we're not faced with a 700 or
Yeah,
whatever
put it in our
thousand.
own county.
One per county, so I think it's a fair way, that's why this region was created.
I'd almost guarantee you that if Carroll County does get out of it, you'll see them back in a couple of years.
Yep.
I think so. Because they're gonna have to go probably with Council Bluffs, and it might cost them more in the long run.
No, they're trying,
Yeah. Well,
You can tell us
do
later.
we need to, is this just purely discussion?
Well, I need direction.
If you want a direction,
I need to know
if you
how
want
to
a
vote for it.
direction, I believe you're gonna have to look at the direction of the $1.50 per capita to get this truck purchased. That's the direction I see.
I think that would be the best avenue, and do something as soon as possible to get it at least on order so that you can lock in some type of price, and that isn't even
We
gonna probably
have-
lock in a price, is it?
We have to
Peggy's
know
taking
by,
business.
this price is locked in till January 31st. We have to know, that's why we've had 2 meetings this month, and we've gotta know we're having another meeting, and we have to know and let them know. So
Right.
that's why I'm bringing it, they said, let's take it back to our boards, see what they have to say, give us direction which way you want us to go, so.
will it take close to a year to get it built, Dave?
It takes close to a year to get it built.
Are they considering raising their fees?
They said next year it'll probably go up 3%. But they don't know, that's just speculation.
No, to the businesses that were there,
They would probably just about have to.
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And I think, we're still kicking around going to the businesses and talking with them. The 2 big ones here is LaGoria and Pioneer.
Mhm.
I've got a list, and I think it's in my file over there, of about 19 in the county that has hazardous material on site.
Okay.
So we'll probably hit some of them up, but if we get 1,000, 5,000 guaranteed for a 10-year period, you know,
That'll help.
that would help quite a bit to pay for the thing.
I think you're on the right track, and hopefully that gives you direction to get back with the board.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I'll say the same thing, go ahead and look at purchasing the truck, and we'll have to, if we have to go to $1.50, well, that's what we'll have to do.
I agree, we need to keep the county safe, so that's
Mhm.
what we need to do.
government says you gotta have something,
Yeah.
you gotta belong to one of them, so.
Yep,
And this one's out of Webster County, so.
It's close.
yes.
All right, the direction is to go to $1.50, and
And yeah, obviously keep pursuing the businesses, contributing a little bit more.
Okay. Final cost to the truck here says $730,195, as it sits right now.
What brand was that you're?
That's a Pierce.
Pierce?
And all
And
the
that's
specs are in this
fine?
book.
That, yes.
Does that, everything that Dave, he'd mentioned this before, that it's built from the ground up and it's not fragmented and pieced together from...
Pierce makes their own chassis. And a lot, like Toynes use Spartan, which there's nothing wrong with a Spartan. It's an excellent truck, it's been made for years, but they buy it from another dealer. So they put the fire body on it, so if you have trouble with the truck or chassis, you go through wherever they got it. Pierce builds their own, buys their motors, everything, I mean, yes, everything will go through Pierce.
So you agree in Dave's description of the all-inclusive
Yes,
package
I
with
do.
the Pierce brand?
I do, yeah.
The truck they have now has a lot of perks on it, you know, extras that they didn't need. This truck is designed no perks, it's just basic what they need. The price of that truck was $764,100, and if we get it, they will discount it down $33,000, puts it $730,195. All the material, the
Wow.
building specs, everything is in here. Here's all your specs of everything in it that will be in it. The lights, the changing room, the shower room, everything they basically need is all in this book. And I'll leave it back there if anybody wants to take and read it, look at it. It's here.
I see that, Dave.
Yeah.
Think a new combine cost.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're 5 years now, by the time we get heads.
Well, we run a little over on that discussion, but,
I think it was worth it.
that's where you want me to go, is to go ahead and go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we'll do. We got another meeting next week, so, if anybody wants to go down to it. It's the 14th, or 15th. 3 o'clock on the 15th. As soon as I get out of that one, we'll be ready for Des Moines for ISAC, so. Okay, that's where we're at on it. We will move on. You get all that, Peggy?
Mhm.
Okay.
Got it.
Let's go back up to drainage then.
I make a motion to go into drainage.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're in drainage.
Okay. Trish, for you.
Anybody needs a restroom or break? Take a 5-minute break?
Okay.
Somewhere.
I know, it got caught
I
in
left my water glass out in my truck.
You need a cup of coffee?
I have better.
You probably, Sandy, do you drink coffee?
Oh, no, thank you.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. You'll have to drink 2 then.
I'll try.
I wanted
No.
I'm a tea person.
Well, I like tea also.
I don't like iced tea, I don't really, hot tea, I like it, but that's very much for
I used to drink probably hot coffee over a day.
Yeah, I don't.
5 years ago, I just.
That's a good idea, that really is.
It is.
I don't drink
Tea is
that.
considered
Somewhat better for you.
Yeah. Less caffeine.
Somewhat better for
Not
you.
as hard on your kidneys.
Yeah, no, I don't, this is the most coffee I drink, I have my extra 2 cups or whatever during this stuff. Most days it's about 2 cups in the morning, and I'm fine. I don't drink it during the day.
Yeah.
Need some coffee?
Oh, I got some. Believe me.
Would you like a cappuccino? Latte?
Ooh.
Get you all wired up, zipped up, buzzed up.
Could use a little hypnosis this morning. Tired. Oh.
Still have all the sheep hanging out.
Having babies.
Awesome. I like sheep,
Yeah, sometimes.
but they're work too.
Oh, they're terrible. They're terribly stupid.
No, they're not the smartest animal in the world. No, they're not. But you know what? Neither are cows. Sheep are like a small version of a cow.
I know. Cows have such personality, though.
Sometimes they're not very good, though.
We weighed in our heifer Saturday. Was she 575?
Is this a feeding heifer or a breeding heifer?
I don't know what we're gonna put her as.
Oh, okay.
She's pretty markety looking,
Yep.
but yet, I don't know how we'll do her for... She's pretty cool.
Good.
I got a good deal on her.
Dave, you wanna know the only sad thing about this truck? Didn't have this hard and fast discussion a year ago and get it bought. I remember you brought it up, and I'm guessing it was the hazmat board just was dragging their feet.
Well, one guy said, I'll take it over and I'll get everything straightened out. He gave us folders and everything. And then he had problems and
I know,
dropped the ball, and that's where it stayed.
and you said that, and I'd just as soon have this hard and fast discussion. I wish their board would've stepped up to the plate. It could've gone the same way, but it'd been a lot more cost effective. But what doesn't go on? What doesn't go on? But that just seems like a huge jump, even though it's an expensive piece of
That
equipment.
is ridiculous.
That is
That's what
ridiculous.
it is, but they do it, they get by with anything you put fire, rescue, emergency name on, they can pretty much charge what they want.
And they do.
And they do, exactly.
Well, it's no different than buying a piece of something that says Caterpillar on it.
Exactly.
We had to put, forced into putting in.
But I know this whole thing,
Police
I'm just
department
really discouraged that the same discussion wasn't a year ago.
Yes.
update and the amount of money that we had to spend to do it,
And I know it,
Then one of the supervisors.
we don't even have the option to go out
Take care of it.
We didn't.
Get it all for us.
Nothing.
We get it from
He had problems, his wife had problems.
somebody's
and he
cheaper,
just dropped the ball.
that's the way the state mandates, so.
I know that, how that stuff goes. It happens, but it's unfortunate.
Costs a lot of money.
Phenomenal.
That's right.
Raz, another person over there, him and I are on the same page with it, let's go with it.
Yep. Well, I just feel you have to.
They
Morning.
recognize you guys, changing chairs.
Don't oh.
Well.
No, I'm watching, I'm right here now, I'm right here.
We like to rotate every January.
Yeah, I remember, yes. That's good. It's good everybody has.
I know
that
Bruce
experience.
wanted to keep that position really bad.
We had to drag him out of there kicking and screaming, he just loved that so much, he loved being chairman.
I tell you one thing, my cell time has went down there.
Really quiets down.
Well, I'm gonna start calling you
Well, you
more often.
call, I don't mind.
Just so you're not lonesome.
It's the numbers that you don't know that you think, oh, God, do I wanna answer that or not?
Yeah, the answer, and it says, please don't hang up.
Yeah.
Oh, click immediately.
And their local numbers.
Yeah.
Lovely
Yeah.
sweet number.
I don't like that.
Welcome. You don't get your name tag.
Nope, it's on order.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Floor is yours.
Okay,
The first one, we got, 11/5.
yes.
Turkey?
First pay estimate for Gerke, you're all aware of the progress they've made. Now, last we heard from them, they were gonna wait till March to come back in to finish. There's a crew out there today.
I was gonna say,
I
they
have-
were hauling rock out the other day
Yeah.
and got it on the
I
south side of
They
the
look at the
road.
forecast and they're gonna get her done.
That's what I'm thinking. I texted George
You
to
talked
have
to
him
him?
stop
I
and
don't know
talk
who's
to them.
filling their thermos, but I wish it'd go
Well-
the other direction.
Means we have this to visit about, yeah, it's just an update from Jeremy Moss.
Oh, okay.
And I just touched base to see what, this was end of last week, and they, yes, the crew was coming today, and if all goes well, they should get it done by the end of this week.
Awesome. Well, they had their rock piles spread out the length of their tile, and their tile was out there, and the machine was across the road, and it's just like clockwork.
Yep. And the weather forecast is, you know, for this time of the year, obviously phenomenal.
Yeah, one
And
cool day.
into next, the following week after this week, it is not gonna be terrible.
No, that's right.
So
And
that,
it's shallow digging, they can really make
it
progress.
gives them,
with the
you know,
shallow
even a
digging.
little bit leeway. I mean, he said the end of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
shallow enough, they'll make real good
Yeah,
progress.
they got about 1,200 feet to go.
Yes.
Pound
So
that
that's,
out.
I mean, so yeah, that's excellent.
So is this like a doozy? It's only the number one
Yeah, I was gonna
payment?
say, I look at this one, then I look at the one below, and I think these guys are just about done, their pay estimate number one.
Yeah,
So $840,665.70.
They must have decent cash flow to pay for all the pipe and rock without getting paid.
Got deep
Apparently.
Deep pockets,
Well, it's, how much was it?
$840.
$840,665.70.
665.70.
840,665.
And what was the total on this project?
$911,046.
So what percentage does that put them at eight?
Well, we put 99%, I'm not sure why we put 99. Oh, because, yeah, the
With the
total-
retainage, you'll
Yeah.
end up at, what, 9, or about 890, somewhere?
With the retainage, yeah, the retainage is 93,000, so. Yeah, we're over 900,000. There's some extra footage in there, yeah, they're so close to done, it's amazing to us.
You say 840,665.70,
Yes,
or 911.46?
yes.
That leaves $93,407.30 to pay.
Plus there's this 1,200 feet left.
Here's a
Actually,
chance
to
that
pay
you can
for.
spend a lot
Right.
of money.
Yeah,
Yeah, get your checkbook out.
Well, is there gonna be, essentially, this is number one, like Rick said, and it's big,
There'll
but...
be a number two.
Is there gonna be number two?
Retainage after that.
There you go.
Is that about
Two
the-
more estimates, one to the footage that they're doing yet, and then the third one will be the retainage only.
After, when we
That's
close,
about the-
when we have our
Hearing,
Yeah.
or,
Completion.
completion hearing.
Yes, yeah, and then you
That's what I
release the
was-
retainage 30 days after the completion hearing.
Haven't heard any complaints from farmers out there, like they're
No.
not doing anything right, or they're not...
No,
So-
I've, just good things.
Okay.
Well, if you wanna look at it, if you drive out by there and go up on the backside where they've done, it looks like
Great.
there's never been nothing done to it, it's just unbelievable, so.
Yes, they took out a
Yes.
wide enough area of
Oh,
black
yes.
dirt that they're able to
Oh,
spread it
yeah.
out and
Nice.
still
What-
meet their spec requirement of no more than 12 inches higher at the middle of the trench, so.
And I think going through the road with the way they did it, with the gravel and
The rock and stuff.
rock
Mhm.
and stuff, we averted a big mess there, so.
Yes. That, working the crossings that way have worked out real well.
Now, I'll make a motion for the pay estimate number one for the $840,665.70 to Gerke Incorporated.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign, carried.
Well, we're on this,
You just sign there.
so yeah, no issues with the construction project at all. But
No.
we have a disgruntled
Yeah,
landowner,
There somewhere's good.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
we have the disgruntled landowner that, didn't give permission for them to take some alternate routes and some rock hauling when they were working on this project.
Mhm.
You claimed that you would try to quantify the extracurricular routes
Yes.
to whatever degree that amounts to, and we'd like to see where that's, shaken out.
Yeah, and I have not done that. It just, we're getting into winter now, and I'll have more hours in the office, and I can do that fairly soon now. We've got drone footage, and we'll be able to use the distances we know to come up with area that was compacted.
Right.
So they're looking for damages.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And I told this landowner, I'm sure that it won't be as much as you're expecting.
No, and this
Yeah,
is
but for-
semi, for the most part, is between the contractor,
Yes.
and they had permission, but they didn't really have permission. You know the story, I believe, everyone knows the
Yeah,
story.
familiar.
So Sandy probably doesn't. There's an easement on projects, and they drove off the easement with the permission of the tenant, but not the landowner.
Oh, okay.
The landowner is furious. It isn't, Was it egregious not to have permission? Yes. Is the damage egregious? No.
No.
And Gerke's are well aware of this, Rick's aware of it, we're aware of it.
Gerke's has told me, we know we blew it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've been in contact with them to the same degree that, just to quantify something,
Yes.
area, no one could be expected to try to say there's X amount of compaction. There's no good way. This happened obviously this past fall. It is, you know, we freeze thaw and all that. So it'd be nice to, as this project is very close to wrapped up, to get that concise and to a degree wrapped up so it can be done at the
So it's...
conclusion of the project.
Completion hearing is all taken care of.
Yep.
Yes.
Don't want anything dragging anything out.
No.
Let's put it that way.
And it'd be appreciative if Trish didn't get bothered by some of the disgruntlement from the landowner, but...
There'll be a reclassification on this,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The one other thing on this project, given the expediency of it getting completed, and like I said, this, you know, they say the end of this week, I can obviously see if there was a little wrapping up in the next week, the weather would be agreeable, they could get it done. Does this get this to the point where the completion, the reclassification, all that, to the point of done for the March levy on the balance of this project?
Ooh, you need it well ahead of that even.
No, it won't
It's
It's gonna be...
There's not enough time.
No.
Yeah.
For
So,
all the publications and the waiting times.
Yeah.
this one, correct me if I'm wrong, was also a split, levy, was it not? They paid some
Mhm.
in September.
Yeah, I know.
So are we still able to levy without the total final completion?
Well, what you've done so far was done under the old reclassification,
Right.
and I figured you wanted to...
You're gonna have to do a
Yeah.
new reclass.
Well, what I'm saying is, we would be able to levy in, what, if any, amount in the March levy?
No,
For
probably.
Nothing?
Probably not.
It'd
Nothing.
be spending a lot of time that you'd have to redo, more mailings.
Yeah.
You'd be spending a lot of money.
So your thought
I think
process
get
is
it done, get the reclassification done,
have it entirely done,
yeah,
Yes.
then do it in September.
Yes.
The option to have it done,
that,
right?
what your thought process was?
Yeah, 'cause I...
Yeah, I agree, that completely done,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
all wrapped up. And so there would be no March levy on this at all.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah, we want it wrapped up completely, so that it's a new reclass to finish out the payments, yeah,
Okay,
that's the best.
okay.
Is that it on that project?
I think so.
Okay. I sent you a new pay estimate for King. Let me just kind of explain where I think we're at with this. With the new pay estimate, you have a little over 39,000 in retainage. They've done work that's not included on this pay estimate. I guess I would encourage you to at least maybe consider paying estimate 4. They're out there, they've done the work. I don't want them to get upset and move off. So what's that line is how far you pay them. They are in deep digging, 15 feet. Part of the reason, that Gerke has made so much progress by comparison is that they've
Yep.
been 7 or 8 feet deep.